Hello. Well, you wouldn't believe it, we've had snow. We had one evening of snow and the whole country has ground to a halt. And it's not as if we never get snow. We certainly do get frosty roads. And once upon a time, they used to be gritted, but they don't do that anymore. So we are very, very fortunate because we have solar power. So we have our power, we can run our range because the pump is still working. So we're lovely and warm. We're being very, very careful with the lights because we've only so much power stored because it's dull and wintry weather nowadays. But everybody else is without electricity. So my heart goes out to people who are living in these smart homes where everything is electrical. And it goes out to the people who've had their homes forcibly refurbished to reduce carbon emissions because they're sat now in the cold. They can't even boil a kettle. They can't cook anything to eat. And they can't see because there's no lights. So we're counting our blessings here. We're really, really fortunate. And obviously, because it's cold outside, I'm thinking of extra winter remedies. And I just thought as well, when you count your blessings, you know, as we are doing today, because we have power and we have heat, it makes me realize there are so many other things that we never even stop to be grateful for or to consider. They're just beneath us. They're just so everyday we don't even see them anymore. And that's what we do with the humble onion. It's just something we throw into meals. But actually, it's another little powerhouse of medicine, and particularly in fighting off colds and flus and winter ailments. So there's lots of things you can do with an onion. Obviously, you can eat them. Onions have what's called a drawing effect. So if you chop up an onion, it will draw to it any bacteria that's in the air. So it's very handy to put a chopped onion, you know, cut in half, into a sick room next to the person's bed, and it will draw out any bacteria that's in the air that could be contributing to illness. It certainly keep the air cleaner. So that's just the most simplest thing you can do, apart from eating it. But I thought I'd show you a couple of other little things. So I've already made an onion syrup here, and it's so simple. You can see the syrup coming off it. So simple, because usually if you're making a syrup, you have to heat things up and watch this and do that. All you have to do for an onion syrup is slice it into a jar. I'm going to show you how to do it because I made this about 3 or 4 days ago for lol, so it's kind of just past its best now. So you just need a small jar and a couple of onions, and you slice them up very finely. So if you have one of those mandolin things, you'll get it done in a couple of seconds. I'm just going to have to do it physically because I've never learned to use those little gadgets. And then you just need some honey. So I'm just going to slice these onions into this little jar. And with each little layer of onions, I'm going to put in a layer of honey. It is cold here, which is why this honey is not running as much as it usually does. So I'll put another layer of onion in now. And then another dipper of honey. And just keep going until you get, I don't know, half or 3/4 of the jar full, because we want a little bit of room for the juice to come off the onions and make the syrup with the honey. And this is ideal for sore throats, for coughs, for colds. Because remember, onion is in the Allium family, as is garlic. And so it has similar properties to garlic. It's not as powerful, but it might be more palatable if somebody finds garlic is just too much for them to take. I'll just continue with this. Okay, so I think there's enough honey in there now because it's going to, the honey is the menstruum, which is going to draw out the juice of the onion and create a syrup in the jar. And then you take a spoonful of that whenever you feel the need to. If your throat is sore or you're coughing, it's really, really simple and quick. In a couple of hours now, that will be ready, maybe 3 or 4 hours. Rosemary Gladstar does warm it very, very gently, but I'm loath to do that because it's our own honey and I don't want to damage any of the enzymes. So I'm just going to pop it up here where it's warm, and the rising heat will just help it to undergo that process of turning into a syrup. So that's one thing you can do with onions. Another thing, I'll just get rid of that knife. You can see here I've got these little slices of onion. So what you could do if you're going up to bed with a bad cold or your chest is full of mucus or whatever, is to slice the onions very fine like this, put them into your socks, and then you put your feet in so that the onions are on the sole of the feet, and go to sleep. And as I said, if you remember, I just said that onions will draw bacteria. So they're brilliant placed against the sole of the feet because of the venous system in the body. It's like when you have an Epsom salt bath, if you have a foot bath, it's an osmosis effect. The venous system will draw in the properties of the onions and exchange with the bacteria that's floating around in the body. So another way just to enhance recovery, just to maybe speed it up and make somebody feel a little bit better. So that's another thing you can do with onions. And then a third thing you can do, which I remember I read this in a storybook when my daughter was a little girl, in a storybook where somebody in the story had an earache. And so the cure was to boil an onion and put it against the ear. And after doing some research, I've discovered that this is a folkloric remedy which works very well. Probably again because the onion is going to draw any bacteria or pain even from the ear. And the heat of the onion, because it's being boiled, is going to soothe any pain. And then any juices in the onion are going to be running into the ear. So all you have to do is take your onion, cut it in half, and put the onions into a pan of water. So our water is off at the moment as well because the electricity is down. So the local water supply, the pump isn't pumping it out to people's houses. So we were fortunate to be tipped off and we managed to collect lots of water before it was turned off in various jars and pans and things like that. So I'm just going to pop that on the stove. So I'm just going to leave that to come to the boil and then I'll show you how you wrap it up for the ear. I think this is boiled enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strain the water off into the mug because we can drink the onion water, which will also be therapeutic. So there's our little onions, nice and soft. Just going to put that onion in there. So I've got a little bit of muslin here. You could use a tea towel or anything, a handkerchief, and you just fold it in, put it against the ear, and the heat generated by that hot boiled onion, ooh, it's quite hot, but that is going to ease an earache. Might need to double that fabric over a little bit more, but you see, you get the picture. Wow, really, really lovely. And I've got onion juice to drink, or onion water rather, and I think that's it. They're all the little remedies you can make with onions. Lowell has a little bit of an aftermath of a cough he had this week. So I'm just going to cut this onion now and leave it in half. I'm going to pop that on the table where he's working, and it should draw in any bacteria. And you know it's doing that because it will start to rot away and look disgusting in a very, very short time. So that's why I don't like to eat onions in a salad when I'm out eating, because I don't know how long they've been sitting there. But there you go. I'll pop all the recipes that I've mentioned in the box below, rather the uses of the onions. And it's just another reminder that so much that we're given by Mother Nature is beneficial, therapeutic, easy to find in your kitchen, in your garden. And it just feels really good making something for yourself or for your loved ones that you know is going to be natural and not have any side effects and do the job. So that's it for this week. I'll leave these onions here as well because they're going to go into his socks. And he should be right as rain by tomorrow. And by tomorrow, we might have the power back and the water back. Keeping fingers crossed. So in the meantime, just to remind you as well, I'm on Substack and there's more content on Substack if you'd like to have a look, and I'll put a link below. So see you next week. I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website, danusirishherbgarden.com, for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.